Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Psycho Gold, this is Psycho Gold Videos. And tonight, we have a trailer to react to in the form of a video game franchise that has been absent from our lives for the past 24 years. Now if, like me, you grew up in the 90s and you remember the epic rivalry between Sega and Nintendo, I'll wager a bet that you've heard of a franchise known as the Streets of Rage. There were 3 games released for the Sega Mega Drive or the Genesis if you were in North America. Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, aka Bare Knuckle in Japan, because back then they used to change the names when stuff came from across the pond over to the west. Don't really do that these days, which is for the better probably. Although I actually personally prefer the name Streets of Rage than Bare Knuckle. And yeah, I have been wanting another Streets of Rage game for a very, very long time. I was in the middle of streaming Borderlands 2 earlier tonight when I was in the middle of streaming Borderlands 2 earlier tonight with Syiance and the Anime Panda, and during that stream, we took a break, so the game was paused because Steam was having some issues, everybody got disconnected, and whilst it was disconnected, somebody was telling me about the Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay reveal, which I'm going to be checking out as well. Now, when I went on Twitter, Cyberpunk 2077 was the top trending hashtag. However, the second top trending hashtag was Streets of Rage 4. And I lost my damn mind as I clicked on it, and yeah. See for yourself. Possibly.
And that's what's breaking Steam.
No!
Nani?
Fuck Cyberpunk 2077. The second most trending thing on Twitter is Streets of Rage 4!
Oh!
New Streets of Rage game announced after 24 years. You better believe I'll be streaming that. Not... Wow. Wow, there's a trailer! I'll be reacting to that. And react to it, I will now do. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am about to watch, for the first time, the Streets of Rage 4 trailer. Now, I already kind of know what the art style is going to look like, because as I say, the pictures for this went everywhere. Twitter, for me, exploded. Ironically, I haven't seen a thing about the Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay, even though it was trending higher than Streets of Rage 4, but everybody I follow was tweeting about Streets of Rage 4, not Cyberpunk. I am extremely excited to check this trailer out, and yeah, I know it's not very long, but my god, this better be good. I have been waiting a very long time for Sega to do this, especially after they killed the Streets of Rage remake project, which was the best Streets of Rage game that we had ever had. But of course, it was fan-made, and it was free, so naturally Sega got rid of it for reasons. But anyway guys, without further ado, let's check this trailer out right freaking now. Okay guys, here we go. The moment I've been waiting for since, well, I was a kid, to be perfectly honest with you. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh yes, it's the city! Oh, the music doesn't sound like how I thought it would. Wait a minute. Yes! Oh, that's Axel! Yes! The music! Okay, it's different, but I like it. And that's... Oh, it's beating up the Galcia. Axel Stone! Blaze! Yes! Oh, okay, they've given her a little jacket. I hope she gets to wear it this time. Oh my god, gameplay! Yes! Look at those special moves! Oh, the art style is perfect. Who the hell is that? What the? Grandappa! Brilliant. Wait a minute, there's only 2 characters. Okay. I'm gonna watch that again.
2 hours later.
Yeah, okay, so, brain needs to start working now. That looks absolutely fantastic. I am still in disbelief, to be completely honest with you, that this is real. There have been so many Streets of Rage projects over the years that were official, that never come to fruition. and we've seen leaked trailers, we've seen leaked images, we've seen cancelled projects that go all the way back to the Sega Dreamcast, with footage that eventually got leaked onto YouTube. We saw attempts to reboot the franchise 4 years ago, and that footage got leaked and then was taken down, and then it came back, but it didn't have any sound. I'm gonna say, though, I really hope that they bring back the composer for Streets of Rage 1 and 2. I think, did 3 have a different one? Was it Yuzo for all 3? I can't remember. I know that 3 had a slightly different sounding musical style, but I would love it if they could bring back the original composer, because the music for Streets of Rage, man, is so iconic. Like, I think I could hear some vague references to it in some of the music then, but only vague. And then once the beat kicked in, that was completely new. That wasn't any of the other tracks, as far as I could tell. Yeah, man, there was so much in that trailer to digest. I mean, first of all, they've given Axel a slightly different, older, bearded look, which I think works. Blaze looks mostly the same, except they've given her black leather jacket that she often had on, like, box art and whenever they did, like, media that featured Blaze, but she never actually wore it in the game. And I saw a Garcia, I saw the big guys who breathe fire, whose names escape me, the Big Bens, that's what they're called, and I saw the Y signals, or the yellow signals, depending on what you call them. I saw so many references and nods that only people who play Streets of Rage are going to get. Axel was doing grappling moves that you could do back in Streets of Rage 2 in the cutscene, and then it cut into gameplay with Axel and Blaze fighting side by side, confirming that it will have the co-op, which is a selling point. I mean, I think if they tried to make a new Streets of Rage and it didn't have co-op, it just wouldn't sell. But what was important about the gameplay that they then showed off was, yes, it's a different art style, obviously. It's 20 years on, but what I saw looks like Streets of Rage. I mean, it's a much more cartoon stylized Streets of Rage, but their moveset, the specials they showed, the abilities that I saw Axel and Blaze do in combination, those were the exact same moves that I did 20 years ago. And the fact that they've kept them so similar to their old looks, I'm sure will annoy some people, and they'll say, oh, it's not different, it's not innovative enough. It's like, no, I don't want you to innovate. It's a beat 'em up. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up where you move left to right and you beat people up. I'm happy with this. Now, the only thing I am slightly worried about has got nothing to do with what we saw, it's what we didn't see at the end. The Streets of Rage 4 logo came up after Axel did his Grand Upper or his Bare Knuckle, depending on which game and which region you play in, and it only showed Axel and Blaze behind the Streets of Rage 4 logo. And I really hope that that isn't the only 2 playable characters, because every Streets of Rage game has had more than 2 playable characters. Streets of Rage 1 had 3 playable characters. You had Axel Stone, Blaze Fielding, and Adam Hunter. And Adam was actually the character that I always played as in Streets of Rage 1. And then in Streets of Rage 2, Axel and Blaze returned, but instead of Adam, half of the plotline was that you had to go and rescue Adam, and you got his kid brother Skate, who was called Sammy in the Japanese version, and you also had a friend of Axel's who was a big, beefy wrestler dude, who was Max. I can't remember what his last name was. I want to say Max Power, but it's definitely not that. And then in the third game, Skate, Axel, Blaze came back, and they were joined by Dr. Zan, and it had cutscenes. It was actually pretty good. Like, it had a really nice, good story to it, if a bit crazy. But that version, you definitely want to play a translated version of Bare Knuckle, because Streets of Rage 3, man, there were so many changes, and the storyline was different, and Bare Knuckle 3 is a much better game than Streets of Rage 3. Even if it does have a slightly questionable boss that was removed from the American version, because even back then, they could see how offensive that boss might be to some people, and yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing the character of Ash anytime soon in another Streets of Rage title. But I do really hope that we get to see returning bosses, especially ones that have been in more than one game, like Shiva. Or even if he's not in the game, but he's an unlockable character, that could be pretty cool. And that leads me on to the fact that I really hope that there are more than 2 playable characters. At the very least, it gives us 3 characters, because the first Streets of Rage, released back on the Mega Drive, had 3 characters, guys. But obviously I would prefer it if it had 4 playable characters, like the last installment in the franchise did. But better still, I would actually like to see them give us all of the playable characters from the last 3 games. That, I think, would be a great way to bring the franchise back. I don't necessarily think that you need to introduce new characters if you don't want to, because it looks like they're very much sticking with the older characters, but, you know, done in a modern way. You know, the backgrounds, the enemies that they were fighting, they were all straight out of Streets of Rage, just with slightly updated, but not really that much, designs. Like, we saw one of the Electras that you often fight, the women who had the whips, and, you know, I only saw her in the cutscene, but that's definitely what she was. And again, I'm very curious to see where this game's going to go, because it looks like it's leaning more heavily into the fantastical elements of the Streets of Rage games, like, you know, their fists come on fire, they've got all these special projectile abilities, and Streets of Rage was always that weird game of, it was very realistic, but it really wasn't. You know, it like felt like you were a nitty-gritty policeman fighting in a gang-ridden streets, but then all of a sudden you could push a button and, you know, fire would come out of your fists, or Blaze would throw a blue fireball at a load of enemies, and it was kind of like, where do you want to sit? Now, number 3 definitely went into the more fantastical side of things. One of the playable characters was a cyborg. So I'm quite happy with that, if they want to lean into that and they want to go, you know, heavy into the graphical side of things, like we saw in the gameplay. We saw a big representation of Axel having these fiery fists, and Blaze had that huge blue aura when she did her backflip, which is totally fine by me. I think that's a great idea. Like I say, I just hope that we get more characters in the future. I have no idea when this game's going to be released. It seems to be produced by Sega, but it's being developed by a different company. It's being developed by a couple of different companies, but the main people seems to be this Dotemo. I hope that's how I say your name. I'm sorry if it's not, guys. But I really wish you guys the best of luck, and anyone out there who's a Streets of Rage fan, please go check these guys out, check this trailer out. I'll link it down below in the description as always. Give them as many views as possible. Show Sega that they have not made a wrong decision by finally bringing this great franchise back, and who knows, maybe we'll also get a decent Golden Axe in the future. That would be cool, seeing a long dormant genre come back, because we have been seeing quite a few resurgent franchises recently, and we're getting a lot of beat-em-ups come back. And yeah, I was really happy seeing all these returning enemies, and I'm gonna guess that that person we saw at the end with the snake is gonna be a boss, and it'll be very interesting to see where this series is going. And like I say, I will be covering this game going forward. Yeah, I don't know how much we're gonna get to cover, and I don't know how much it's gonna be to see and do, but either way, guys, I can't wait for this, and I just wanted to share this with you. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Please leave comments down below letting me know if you're excited for this game series. I'm sure quite a lot of you may not be, because, you know, I know what my target demographic is. Some of you might not have actually been gamers when these games were at their height, and for that, I feel this a great shame. I think this franchise should never have gone away for as long as it had. I know that beat-em-ups kind of fell out of fashion for a long time, but I think there is nothing wrong in the simple joys of games like this. Things like Castle Crashers and its popularity prove that these games are not dead. It's just that they're not being made. So, like I said, guys, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about this news. I'm gonna go now because I need to watch this trailer like 6 or 7 more times and then take apart any piece of information I can find. So, as always, if you're new around here, don't forget to click subscribe, and you will get notified whenever I post new anime reactions, new discussions, and possible reviews coming in the future. But for now, guys, all that's left for me to do is to say that I am Psycho Gold, and I will see you in my next video. Psycho Gold, out.